Hey everyone, welcome to Spring 2021. I just wanted to go over a few changes that I've made and also walk you through the process to pair Blackboard and ALEKS because we are doing single sign-on again like we did last semester. So once you enter your course, it will default to the announcements page, which is what students will also see. Go ahead and make sure that you're posting weekly announcements to try to help with student engagement. I know that the majority of the sections are synchronous, so definitely be taking attendance and making sure that your students are actually showing up. For some of the courses that have 3 to 5 students enrolled, it shouldn't be too hard to keep them engaged or at least stay in contact with them. So, but we do want to try not to lose any students if at all possible. I have posted the welcome to class announcement that contains the link to the Blackboard student orientation course. Now remember, this is required for attendance, but if the students already completed the orientation course, all they need to do is submit their certificate of completion. Make sure that they read through the information contained in the course information folder. Have them review the Blackboard ALEKS pairing instructions. That is just a simple PDF document that will pop up once they click on that, and then it will walk them through the process. Some of the graphics may be a little outdated or not match Calhoun's exactly, but the process is pretty much the same as what's detailed here. Once they've logged into Blackboard and gone into their course, they're going to click on the ALEKS assignments link, which is right here. And then they will go ahead and walk through the process of pairing the course. And this details it. Now remember, you need to generate a financial aid access code in ALEKS that you need to post either in your announcements or on your course information page so that students have that if they don't already have a permanent access code or if they're not going to go ahead and purchase an access code. Remember, that only gives them 2 weeks of access to the course before they need to purchase the permanent access code. And this walks them through the entire process. Now, like I said, since we are doing single sign-on, you'll notice in your menu on the left there is a link that says ALEKS Assignments. If you left click that, you're going to begin the pairing for this course. All you need to do is type in Miller right here and then left click Find Now. And this is our textbook. It should be the first one that pops up, but it is Beginning and Intermediate Algebra 5th edition by Miller. Copyright 2017. You're going to click Select, and that's going to bring you in here. You're going to go ahead and click ALEKS. Then you want this for your students. And then Adopt ALEKS. And then you're going to choose an existing ALEKS class at this institution. And you're going to go with My Classes. You're going to select the class that you're pairing. And remember, pick the correct class. For instance, the Blackboard course that I am currently in is Math 098, Section W01. So I want to make sure that I select that one, which is this one right here, Spring 2021. And then I will left click or click Continue. Click Continue again. Takes a moment, and now it brings me right into ALEKS. And so every time I click from this particular link, now that I've paired it, it will take me directly into ALEKS once I click that ALEKS icon. And you will still be able to access all your classes once you're in ALEKS. The reason I'm doing this is to link the gradebooks between ALEKS and Blackboard. So make sure that you pair your course and make sure that you talk to your students about what they need to do. Obviously, their process is a little bit different. So back to announcements, and just remember that you need to provide the financial aid access code. Make sure that they purchase the 52-week permanent access code, because if they're going on to Math 100, they can still use this ALEKS. And since we are moving on to Math 110, there's the possibility that we'll be using ALEKS for that also, because the state has changed things. I'm in the process of looking at that right now. But either way, if they purchase the 52-week code, it's not that much more expensive than the 18-week code. However, you can tell your students that if they're planning on taking Math 110 in the fall, they can just purchase the 18-week code. That's entirely up to them. Make sure that they take the initial knowledge check in ALEKS. That's also required for attendance. In the schedule, I have it set for this coming Friday, which I believe is the 15th. Yes. Now, obviously, the weekend course, we'll need to change that. But that's where we want to be. Try to get these completed by the 15th so that you're ready to submit attendance on that particular day. There's also a copy of the academic integrity policy. I have them send me an email confirming that they read the policy. This is kind of a CYA. I've also in other courses set it up as a discussion board or as a Dropbox where they read it and then it shows up. If you want to do that, you go right ahead, but for this course, I'm just having them email me. Now, under course information, there's this section that says, what do I put on this page? You don't need to keep that. You can delete it. It is hidden from students, and I'm just going to delete it. Here's the student resources link, which you should be familiar with. It brings them out to the student resources tab that's in Blackboard. Contact information for the instructor. That's why I put this in big bold font and put it in fuchsia. Edit the section. Replace the message with your contact information, i.e. your name, your email, and if you want to provide them with your phone number, go right ahead. Remember to change the font color, like I said here though, unless you like the color. You can use any color except for red. I would also avoid the color green, and these are because of Americans with Disabilities Act requirements. Try to keep the font size at 12. I know this font size is larger than that, but that's so I could catch your attention. I've got the first day checklist, which is in the announcement here also. The course syllabus is right here. Remember, it is a generic course syllabus. It's not going to have your specific instructor information in there because you've already included it in Blackboard. This talks about everything that will be covered in the course. We have the student learning outcomes. There have been a few changes. Chapter 6 is no longer covered in this course, and I've added a few things to Chapter 5, which deals with exponents and more specifically application problems using exponents, which we'll talk about a little bit more later. The grading plan, 30% is the ALEKS objectives, 40% are the 4 tests, which will cover Chapter 1, Chapter 2, Chapter 3/4/9, and Chapter 5/7/12. Then there's a midterm exam, which will cover tests 1 and 2, and a final exam, which will cover tests 3 and 4, and they're both worth 15 points apiece, or 15%, I should say. Here's your topic outline, and you'll notice that there is a definite difference from what we went over last semester. The attendance policy, make sure that you cover that with your students. For any 16-week course, the maximum number of non-excused absences is 4. If it's a mini term, I believe it's 2 or 3. I don't know because I don't teach the mini terms. But for anybody who's teaching a mini term, you definitely need to post that in your course so that students are aware of that. The final exam, I have it scheduled for May 8th. You can change that to any day within that final exam week. I like May 8th because it's a Wednesday and it's the middle of the week, and that way they'll have time to finish their review the week before and then also study for any other exams that they may have. First day handout, really not that much different than the first day handout that we've been putting out. The only difference is I've changed the attendance policy here once again to reflect the fact that mini terms have fewer allowed unexcused absences. And you'll also notice that I did not put the withdrawal date in either the syllabus or in this because it's one of those things I tend to forget to do, and I apologize for that when I'm talking about is changing it. So what I do is I went ahead and I listed important dates, which for your courses they should already be up here underneath the calendar with due dates. And if you left click that, that brings up the spring 2021 important dates, and you can see the drop add, and you can see the holidays, final exams, and then when grades are due. Here are the pairing and registration instructions for students. This is a PDF document. You'll notice that it looks very similar to what you had. There's a little bit of a difference from what you saw me go through, but it gives them the option to input their access code or use the financial aid access code or purchase a code. And we've already seen that. Here's the calendar with due dates, and I also have a list for those. I've listed spring break and Martin Luther King Day, and I listed when the final was. I said May 8th, I meant May 5th. I apologize for that previously. Grades are due on May 11th by 12 o'clock. That is a hard and fast date, and you've got to get those grades in by that time. Here's your objective, review, and test due dates in a list format. It talks about initial knowledge check, objective due dates, and then review and test dates. The review for test 3 and test 3 are on different days than the other 3 tests. The midterm is also on a Monday, just like the other 3 tests, and then the review for the final and the final exam are on different days. So make sure that your students are aware of that, because I always get students that will email me and go, "Oh, I didn't realize that that was due on this day," and I'm like, "Yeah, too bad. I feel for you, but," and that's something that you need to definitely communicate to your students. Topics by chapter and section. And this is a PDF. Okay. And student learning outcomes for the course, which is also listed in the syllabus. Star Institute for tutoring, and they do have the option of using tutor.com, and the link is right here in the left-hand menu. There's the communication policy, and this is what to do when you have your permanent code for ALEKS, which you can move if you want and put it right up here with the pairing and registration. It's up to you. I had meant to do that, but I forgot to move it up when I was copying everything from the master template into this template. So under content, real quick, I just want to talk about a few things. This is where they'll submit their orientation certificate. This is test scratch work. They need to submit PDF copies of their scratch work for the 4 tests, the midterm, and the final. That way, if they ask questions and say, I got this one right, but it marked it wrong, you can go and you can look at their work. In addition, you can go in and look at their work and assign partial credit if you want to. I've set the tests and the exams in ALEKS to grade for partial credit, but it's not a perfect system. Oh, and these are just simply drop boxes. If you click the link, or the student clicks the link, it'll ask them to go ahead and attach the file, and then they end up putting it in their Dropbox, and then you have the option to view it from the gradebook in Blackboard. And you can go ahead and assign the 0 points. If they submit it, then give them 0, which means that they've just submitted it. Okay? Now, also under content, I've got it broken down by the objectives. I've combined chapters 5, 7, and 12. And for next semester, I will combine 3, 4, and 9.5. But what you'll notice that I've changed this. This is no longer an HTML window. It's just a PDF file now. If they left click it, it opens up in a new window. And also under class notes, which is new, I have worksheets for each one of the sections that we'll be covering. I called them lecture notes, and if they left click them, it downloads a Word document. If you go ahead and click it to open it, and go ahead and click enable editing, and let me bring that back into the window, you'll notice that it has definitions, basic definitions, and then some example problems. And if you are going to use this as part of your instruction instead of using a workbook, because we're not requiring them to purchase that anymore, this right here is great, because if you've got Microsoft Word on your computer, which you should, whether you're running a Mac or a PC, and you have a tablet, you have the ability to draw in Microsoft Word. And for example, like I can just simply say, okay, that's equal to 1, and the reason being is because 9 is divisible by 9, and you know that. So I can illustrate on this, and I can draw, and then what's really nice is you can save this and post it back into Blackboard. But you don't necessarily have to do that, because you'll notice that I also have answer keys set up. Let me go ahead and pop that in so we can look at it. And you'll see that they go ahead and actually read the directions and then answer each one of the questions. And students have access to these. They also have access to the PowerPoints that correspond to each one of the sections. If they click the link, it'll download the file, which they can then open up or save to whatever directory they want, and they can open it, and then it's going to go through each one of the sections. And these are accessible. In other words, they are screen readable. So any student who is using a screen reader, they're not going to have any issues with accessibility. And there are going to be examples, and then there are going to be some exercises or skill practices. Feel free to use those. Like I said, students can download those. Whoops. Let's go back into here. And then we have the videos that have always been there, which is what Valerie Cox had originally put in. One of the things that I do want to discuss before I end this video is in chapter 5, 7, and 12. I don't have videos for chapter 7 and chapter 12 yet, but I am working on those, and I will have those set up. And one of the things that I really want you to focus on, both in chapter 1 and in this objective set, is making sure that students understand how to input things into the calculator and how to make sure that whatever calculator they're using is following the order of operations. One of the reasons for that is because in Math 110, there's going to be a section on personal finance. And using those formulas, a lot of times, and I've had this happen before teaching other courses where the students don't understand how to actually put the entire expression into the calculator, and they'll do it piecemeal, and then they won't get the exact same answer that either ALEKS or My Math Lab or WebAssign has, because they haven't done it as one single expression. So definitely work on that. I do have some calculator on my desktop, which I will make videos of, so that they're emulators, so that I can add those videos in for this particular chapter, so students will get a better idea of how to use the calculators. And remember, they're all using different calculators, and every scientific calculator now should follow the order of operations, but there are one or two out there that you got to enter it in a different order in order to get it to follow the order of operations exactly. So if you have any questions about what exactly or how exactly you should present that, just let me know. And like I said, I will have those videos created and posted in the next few weeks. And that's pretty much it. When you go into ALEKS, and let me get in there real quick. Under assignments, you're going to have the initial knowledge check, and that will give a grade at some point. You're going to have your chapter 1 objectives. You got your due dates, your reviews, your tests, and you can go in there and you can edit those. One of the things that I wanted to let you know is for the tests, the password is algorithm, okay? And that's for all 4 tests and both exams. Feel free to change them. I just wanted to make it as simple as possible. And yeah, I guess I could have picked a simpler word than algorithm, but I didn't want students just going in there and trying to guess the password and then saying, oh, I accidentally opened it. Try to keep this as honest as possible. We are not going to use Honor Lock for this semester. Comparing our grades to Valerie's in her Math 098 class that she's teaching online, she's using Honor Lock on the midterms, and I just want to kind of get a comparison of grades and see what kind of success rates the 2 different types of classes have.